Hey everyone, my name is John K. I'm an instructor of accounting, finance, and many other business courses at Wise Prep. Over the last 10 years, I've had the honor of helping thousands of students throughout their university journey. One of those students is Isabella, who at the time she was attending my classes in university was just starting off a business. Today, that business has grown to employ many people. It has thousands of followers on Instagram. She is making people laugh and smile every day. She's fulfilled, and her business is still growing. Now, before we get into the conversation with Isabella, I would like to ask all of you to like and subscribe to my channel as a way to support me in my desire to bring high quality, easy to consume tutorials and now this podcast to you at no cost. The point of this podcast is to help young people just starting university, or maybe you finished university and you're thinking about where you're going to go in life. Maybe you want to start a business, maybe you want to have a particular career, or really anyone that is facing that dilemma in their life. Isabella's story is very inspiring. She talks to us about the ups and downs of starting a business, working through COVID, and she talks about her plan for the future. And I really think that by listening to her story and our conversation, you'll get, at the very least, inspired, and you'll perhaps even be given that push you need to start your own business today or to follow your dreams today. So, without further delay, please enjoy my conversation with Isabella.
You're the very first person I ever do this with, so I think it's pretty cool to experiment. And so I appreciate you doing this, first of all.
So fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. I think it could be cool, and you have a unique story for sure. I think one that new students can maybe connect with. So I guess the first thing I wanted maybe to talk about was like how you got from, because I remember when we were working together, right? When you were taking my classes, it feels like 100 years ago.
Long time ago. Anything before COVID feels like 100 years ago.
Yeah, it feels
Let's be honest.
But it was right before COVID, I guess, right? Or just maybe a year before.
Yeah, as soon as I started Concordia, friends of mine referred me to you right away, and I think every class that you had available that I could have taken, I took.
I remember seeing you a lot, but I remember you were right around. You were starting your business around then. I remember you saying you were getting into it, and now it looks like it kind of just blew up into this like amazing business, right? I know we've you a few times, so I'm assuming you're crazy busy. So how did you start? How did you get your idea in school, and then how did you kind of turn that into what it is today? Like, what are the big kind of events?
Yeah. Okay, so I started, just to give a little bit of a reference, I started in 2018. Okay. So 2 years.
Before we start, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the business, because I know what you do, obviously, but maybe some people don't.
Okay, so basically what I do is I make balloon arrangements. So it's not your ordinary balloon arrangements. They're really the core pieces that are made to be really like an aha moment when you walk into a venue, really like a piece of decor, not your average decor. Really hard to explain, actually, now that you're putting me on the spot. But balloon garlands, anything that goes with event planning. So really like, especially now in this new year, I'm trying to like really push up on other services. Yeah. But right now we're mostly focused on the balloons.
Oh, my mom was calling me. Cancel that. So just to add to that, I know what you do. Obviously, like I've used your service a couple times. I think 2 or 3 times, and I can say it's really, really, it's definitely an aha moment when you have things hanging from the ceiling and massive balloons and dinosaurs.
Yeah, you're like, whoa.
Yeah, so I think it's great. Okay, so so how did you get that idea? And then you said you started in 2018. Then what?
Okay, so I started in 2018, and ironically, I got involved because of a competitor of mine. Basically, I ordered a balloon off of a competitor of mine, and it was for my aunt's birthday. So once we received this balloon, all of my uncles, cousins, family members that were there, we all come from an entrepreneurial background. So they all looked at this balloon. They asked me 2 questions. This is could be a very European, Italian mentality, which is, basically, how much did you pay for this thing that you got it delivered? And second of all, like, what does it entail? Like, why can't we do this? Like, you could do this. Like, you know, everything could be done on their own for them. So that's how I got started, was from that balloon. My best friend's birthday was coming up. I'm like, hey, let me try to make my own balloon. And then from there, one thing led to another. Always it was for friends and family. My Instagram page, I remember my best friend made it as a joke. Like, Balloon Babe was supposed to be a joke name. It wasn't supposed to be a real name. So it kind of all carried out without me knowing, let's say.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's definitely, I mean, to be fair, the first thing I've asked Carla every time I've walked into one of your arrangements is like, how much does this cost?
How much does this cost? Yeah, definitely.
And
Now that I'm in it, though, definitely I could understand why there's a nice price point to it for the time and all of that jazz. But yeah, I understand where everyone else is coming from, because I had that same reaction when I first ordered.
Yeah, but I mean, I can understand too, like when you set up our arrangements, like you had people come do it. Like, I know that there's a pretty heavy cost associated to providing the service. So I mean, it's worth the money. It's definitely worth the money.
Yeah.
So when you were in school though, what were you studying? Remind me.
I was in accounting.
That's right. And
yeah, I was in accounting.
Said, forget that. Don't want to be an accountant anymore.
I graduated. I had done 3 internships. I had like a full-time job, like signed, sealed, delivered. I was starting 2 weeks before I started. I told them I'm not starting. Yeah. I couldn't do it. I had such an amazing summer just doing balloons.
Yeah.
And I was so happy. I was so into it. And I just decided, you know what? Let's just continue this. And I really wasn't happy doing what I was doing. Like, I was just doing it. Unfortunately, I was part of like the square perfect picture of you go into accounting. I'm not judging anyone, but you go into accounting, you do the next couple of steps, and you end up at a certain company. So yeah, I refused to be unhappy to fit in a square.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think my journey was almost identical to that. I was in accounting, did all the things you were supposed to do, I was supposed to become a CPA, and then by accident started tutoring some kid.
By accident, there you go.
And then ended up, obviously, you know, now having taught, I don't know, over 20,000 people. But yeah, very, very similar story. And I think it's important for students to hear that, because I still get a lot of students, you know, a lot of students reach out to me privately, like with personal problems, and they tell me like, yeah, I'm in accounting, or I'm in finance, or I'm in marketing, and I really don't want to be in it. I'm really not happy, but it makes my parents happy, or it's like what I should be doing. And I think your story is you know, a good one, because it can maybe tell students or show students that, yeah, if you follow what you want, you're gonna be much happier and more successful and all that. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and it's really funny, because I find when I was in university, everyone who had a little bit of like more of an obstacle or challenging path, I would relate to them right away, and I want to know like what their thought process was on school. Like, everyone who had that perfect path of graduated this, that, I just like tried to stay away from them as much as I can. And most of these people, like, ironically, I didn't find in class. Like, the reason why for me staying in school was not because of my teachers, or I could say it was because of classes. For me, it was like I was part of association. So I was part of the association, JMAS, I was part of another association, and then I was in case competition. Like, those things kept me in school. Okay. And if I look at it now, for me, like, all of the stories I heard, everyone had different paths, especially in case comp, so many different people that I met. That's why I ended up like staying and like ended up finishing my bachelor's. But I felt like there was no one I could have related to in school, because I wasn't happy, but I wasn't going to say that, because it wasn't a narrative that I felt like spoken of.
And I think a lot of students are in that boat, and they don't want to say, they're just doing it. They're going to tough it out. And
on to the next, right? Or even if it is tough it out, and then they're like graduate, and they're like, okay, maybe I should find a job now, because they're fed up of the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So they never end up doing what they love. But
no, it's great that you did though. That's really, because I mean, obviously, and the proof is that you chose something like, you know, this very unique business, which
Yes.
which you love doing, and then you turned it into a great business. So that's kind of proof
Yes.
that if you follow what you want, you'll get the success. I mean, I feel like
Yes.
success is just a byproduct of doing something you love, right? Kind of cliche, but
For,
it's
no, it is cliche, but I say that to everyone. If you like love something, trust me, you'll be great at. Usually, when you love something, you're usually most of the time you're great at it. So there's gonna
yeah,
be someone out there that's gonna pay you for it.
100%,
And
definitely.
and I mean, I'm sure you're doing that exact same thing right now. I mean, now
Yeah, I
you're
mean,
going into the whole podcast thing, so it might
yeah,
be a
yeah,
little
yeah.
bit different. You're testing out, but I'm just saying,
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I definitely love. I mean, I owe everything I have in the world to teaching. I mean, I have met my closest friends. I met my wife. This year is actually 10 years that I'm teaching, so it's a special year. Yeah,
whoa,
yeah.
congrats, that's crazy.
Thank you, thank you. You talked about like obstacles and all that, and I actually wanted to talk a little bit on that, and maybe talk to us about some obstacles that you maybe faced when you were starting your business, how you overcame those, if there were any, or maybe it was just smooth all the way till now. And then if no, yeah, and yeah, usually there are obstacles. And then if you're currently facing some, how are you generally dealing with them today, and is it different from when you kind of started the business?
Yeah, okay, so let's start with the first part of your question. So the obstacles during school and being a business owner. It was more like I want to do something else, but I need to do my school because I need to pass and I need to study. So it was more of like finding a super strict schedule and discipline to know when I could do schoolwork and when I could do what I love to do and what I enjoy doing, which was working. So that was hard for me, but I think boundaries, limiting myself with orders, 2 weeks before an exam, not having any orders at all to study. So I think that helped me with having boundaries. And then again, today, the same thing is just having boundaries, limits to what can and cannot be done. I kind of learned the discipline that I have today because of school.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like your business almost started more slowly than it could have because of school, right? Like you kind of prioritized school and maybe, refused a few orders or refused a few jobs because of your exams, but it
Yeah.
taught you the discipline. So that's really cool.
That's it. It taught me the discipline. And like now with my team that I have today, they're all in school, and I heavily, and they love to work. They love to, hey, I have a X day off, so let me know if I could come work. And I tell them, no problem, as long as your school stuff is done, because I know what it feels like to be tied in between of like loving what you're doing and like having to do schoolwork. So I enforce them because I know it was for me, like I had to have a lot of discipline.
That's cool. It almost sounds like you're almost like a mentor to these people that you have working with you. How
I
many,
hope so.
how big is your team now?
We have 4 girls plus myself, so we're 5 in total.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, it was cool. I had my first Christmas party this year.
You did?
Yeah, it was big for me. A Christmas party. I took them all out, but still, it was still a Christmas party.
Yeah, that's fun. That means you're doing something right. That's great.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you manage to get a hold of a truck?
No, I'm still renting. Hopefully next year when you skyrocket this podcast and I could come back on, I'll have a truck. Or maybe this year, we'll see.
A big truck with balloons on it.
Yeah, so many or a big pink truck,
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
How are you? Okay, so you spoke about balancing school and business, and
Yeah.
obviously you manage that well. You accomplished school, and now you're running your business. How are you balancing your business now with your personal life? I'm assuming you have a personal life. So how are you managing? Is it difficult to balance, or is it just kind of happening on its own?
I think in the beginning, when I wasn't in school anymore and I was working, but I still had like my personal life with my girlfriends, it was really hard to say no to people because I had big FOMO, especially with my girlfriends.
Yeah.
So I would go to everything, and then I was tiring myself out. I would fall asleep at the table sometimes, like really childish. Fall asleep at the table. So I think one of the things I learned how to do was say no to certain things of my personal life in order to like listen to my body and say, hey, you're tired, you've been working like crazy, but also have like a decent balance between seeing my friends and hanging out. So I think, again, same thing like with my challenges in university or after the business, was having the boundaries of listening to your body, and making sure that you prioritize that, because there's a need for social life. For myself, I need to, in order for me to like rejuvenate mentally and physically, for me to work or perform well in my job.
Okay. Yeah. That's really, that's important. It's huge. I mean, to balance. I mean, I've learned so many things too, like that I wish I knew 10 years ago, right? Like how important taking care of yourself, I guess, first before you can take care of others and your work and schoolwork and business. Yeah, huge.
Yeah, especially like I said, when it came to the saying no part, which is a big deal, saying no, and that was a big step for me, was saying no.
Yeah,
I never used to say no.
For sure. I mean, it's not fun to. I mean, now maybe you're used to it and I'm used to it, but at the beginning, I know it's not easy to want to do something and then say no, but it shows self-discipline. So that's important.
Big time.
Now back a little bit to your education. You said you studied accounting. You were involved in all these associations, JMAS and all that. Or how do you feel like your education helped you or is helping you in your business, or is it helping you at all? Do you use anything that you learned, or do you feel like you're doing better in your business because of your education?
Yeah, definitely. I think my education, especially I was in accounting, like mentioned before. So I think even the language, like the financial language and all of the keywords, especially when I talk to an accountant or I have specific meetings, I know the vocabulary well. I know I could hold a decent and quote unquote conversation. So I think that helped me a lot, understanding at the end of every quarter why I have to pay taxes. Already we have, you know what I mean? So like I understand what goes behind it. And it taught me Excel. School taught me so much about Excel that helps me so much right now. So that's pretty much, those are the only key things I could take out of it, unfortunately.
I mean,
I still have people doing my stuff. Like I'm not submitting my own taxes, that's for sure. I'm not, so there's a limit, but yeah.
It's funny you mentioned Excel. I think I must stress this to students, I don't know, 50 times a semester, that like, you need to learn Excel, like, because you don't really realize how important it is until you get out there and you're like, wow, if I didn't know this, like imagine you didn't know how to use Excel, and all the things that you use it for, you would have to kind of just wing or do by hand or just kind of tough it out.
Or use Excel, but not in the proper way. People use Excel, they don't know how to they use it, but they don't know how to use it, right?
Yeah.
Like, the importance of pivot tables at the end of my quarter, very important.
Yeah, no, for sure. And again, it's I think the single most important program in the world. I can probably say, I mean, I'm pretty sure, right? Everyone uses it in every business. So yeah, no, huge.
Yeah, but I don't know, like, I don't know how it is. Maybe you could say more, but are the kids using Excel in exams? Everything's by hand?
Everything's still by hand. Yeah, it's crazy. Like during COVID. Yeah, during COVID, I was a bit optimistic because like everything was online. So they were actually letting students use Excel, and it was getting students to use Excel. And now it's all, back to the traditional way and
the calculator and a pencil.
Yeah, a calculator, pencil, and that's it. And it's fine, I guess, but like that's not how the real world is. And unfortunately, the way that it's being taught is still a little bit dated. But there are some classes, like if you're taking a computer related class, you're going to use Excel. But in accounting, low level anyways, I'm not sure about the high ACOs, low level accounting, intro and stuff.
Nothing. Well, because I remember when I was applying for internships and full-time jobs, they wanted to see if I had like a background in using Excel and all of that. Like at the end of the day, that's what they use. Like in my internships, I was learning Excel in these internships, but we learned nothing about it in school. I never took out a calculator in my internships, never all of that jazz. So
never wrote it
something. Oh my God, forgot about that. It gave me a little PTSD.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
They're still doing it that way. I actually don't. I actually stopped teaching Com 217 recently, and yeah, I
People
passed
were
it on
pissed.
to. No. I passed it on to Mike. Do you know Mike?
I don't think so.
No, he's like the ACO guy now, and he's
Okay.
just made sense for him to teach the intro to accounting, given that he's teaching the high level ARCOs.
Okay.
But I miss
Cool.
it.
And what are you focusing now?
Finance the
Okay.
most. 308, 220, economics, whatever. Same classes as
Okay.
before, just without that one class.
Okay. Cool.
Where do you see, and tell us what you can, obviously, but
Yeah.
where do you see yourself and your business like 5 years from now? Like, what do you have, like a big vision, a big dream, of course, that you can tell us about? So
Yeah, of
yeah,
course. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a little bit of I love this question.
right.
And someone asked me this before I quit this big company. And this was the question that or exercise that this person gave me was to close my eyes, which is really cool. And if you ever do it to your students or whatever, close your eyes and pretend you're walking in a park and you meet yourself 5 years from now. What would you want that 5 year or 10 year person, well, version of you to tell yourself? And when she asked me that question, it was like a revolutionary. I was like, well, I would want her to tell me I have like the best balloon workshop studio in Montreal, Canada, worldwide, whatever. And when I was able to tell myself that, and that was the first thing that came to mind, I knew, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I want to pursue. So I think the same thing goes to you with this question here was, hopefully I could have like a really cool creative workshop where I'm not only pumping out orders, but I'm also working and innovating and creating and making mistakes or doing fun stuff with my team on how to create different installs, different props and all of that stuff. So definitely I see myself like working in a cool workshop creative area where I'd be able to take Balloon Babe to another level.
Yeah, that's I mean, I can see it for sure. I mean, you
Yeah.
went from nothing basically in 2018 to
Yeah.
I constantly see you on Instagram, just, you know, you sometimes have more like multiple installations in a day, right?
Yeah. Sometimes it's like, hey, what's the earliest I could come? Hey, I love it when like the people have like really small kids and they're like, hey, yeah, my kids are up at like 5 a.m. every morning. I'm like, perfect, I'll be there at 6:30, like you guys, you know. Yeah, mostly it's a lot of installations a day. My goal is that I'll be able, like my team can, also be able to be super independent where they could go on their own to their own events. They do that already, but
Yeah.
I mean, have more teams that'll be able to go all over the city and I could just pop in and check if everything's good. Be more of the client facing, because right now I'm just trying to surface every level of the company and not, but ideally I want to be more client facing, making sure they're happy, making sure that everything was to their needs. But it takes time.
How are you managing? Because I know when you have a business that you started on your own, it's kind of like your baby, right? And then when you when you hire people, did you find it difficult to like trust others to do things without you around? Like, did you find that
Yeah.
hard? Yeah. How did you deal with that? Either like both operationally, did you like do a lot of training and also just like mentally for yourself? Like, how did you finally say, okay, like, these birds can fly without me a little bit, like they can go and I don't need to be there watching them take every step? How did you deal with that?
Yeah, so two things. The first was training. I would make him come over and we would, like, whether it be training on Instagram, how we should be posting, what time, whether it be training on how to blow up a balloon, and whether it be client facing training. So like going over orders, how you should present yourself and all that. So there was a lot of training. And then after we did a lot of, I was like, at one point we were like 4 people on site for like the smallest installation, but it's because I wanted them all to see what I would do. And then I would make them do it, or we would go like all day. We would do these 4 or 5 installations together. And we were a lot of people, not necessary, but I wanted to make sure we were all there to learn. So it did take, I want to say, a solid like 4 months of all of that before I could have let them go on their own. And even at that, when they're on their own, in the beginning, I was like, okay, FaceTime me when you're done. Now it's super chill. Now, as long as they say, hey, we just got here, or hey, we're leaving, or they send me pictures, as long as they say, as long as I ask them, hey, was the client there? Were they happy? They said, yeah, everything is great. So it takes a long time. I would say it was like a 6-month period, but you learn. And I also had to tell myself that in order for me to grow, I had to start trusting people, and I had to start building a team, because I wasn't able to do 12 events in a day. I would come home, have these insane migraines. I wouldn't be eating. I forget to drink, forget to eat. Come home, zero personal life. And I couldn't live that. That was like 2020. It was insane. So 2021. Yeah, go ahead.
Up until 2020, you were doing everything on your own?
Up until 2020, I was doing everything on my own, so which would be considered 2.5 years. Then 2021, I had my first employee, which was one girl, which we killed ourselves too, even with one person, because I was getting more and more orders.
Right.
End of 2021, I was hired 3 other girls. So I had someone for just Instagram, and someone who would help me like run around basically, and then 2 other girls that would help me with installs. Now, thank God, they all know how to do Instagram. They all know how to do installs, which works well. But yeah, it took a while, and now I am I just want more people to work, because I'm like, hey, like there's so much more orders we can take, and it's super important in order for growth. I realized that.
Are you turning away orders? Like, you have enough demand that you need more workers now?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, especially from the months of April to October, which are like crazy. Well, crazy. I don't know, because this is my first winter I did without COVID, being more of a popular company in the city. So it's all new for me. Like now, January, February, there's no COVID. We'll see how the months go. So it's still like I'm in the waters. It's weird.
Yeah, I think January, February are, I mean, I don't know about every business, but a lot of businesses, I mean, are a little bit slower. I mean, everyone kind of peaks at the holiday and then tapers off a little bit, but I'm sure, I mean, there are birthdays every day, right? And it's, I mean, for anyone who's planning a birthday, who's watching this, if you want balloons, you definitely have to go here.
But another reason too for the girls and having a team is that I myself was only able to cater to certain budgets, because it wasn't worth it for me anymore to leave and do installs of a certain amount of a budget, let's say a $5,200 budget. So with them now, I'm able to say, okay, well, I'm able to cater to people who have a smaller budget, who don't want these extravagant things, and I'm able to send someone else, or one of my girls who I highly trust, who has the same quality as work as me, and I'm able to cater to this other clientele, which I'm so grateful for, because that's how I started. It was these $50, $100 orders.
Yeah, I think that's so important, because I mean, those people that are ordering $50 or $100 balloons, maybe it's a smaller event, or maybe they're younger, whatever. Those people are going to potentially turn into those customers that are going to call you up and say, okay, this time I need a big, so I think that's really important.
Or like having vendors that I started with and clients that I started with that are growing, and you guys are all growing together. It's so beautiful to see, because hey, we started, cliche, started from the bottom somewhat, and now we, like, a lot of my friends have companies, or I saw growth, or now I'm seeing them starting from their garage, and now they work they have their own building, so it's pretty cool to grow with all these vendors, clients as well.
Yeah, that's inspiring for sure. I mean, I know a lot of students that are trying to start their business, and this is, I think, a great thing for them to hear. There's actually a question I wanted to ask you, and I think I plan on asking this to everyone who I chat with, as like a way to end it off on a cool note. If you could go back in time, it's kind of similar to what you were saying before with the little experiment you did, but you can go back in time 10 years and speak to yourself, what is like 1 or 2 things that you would tell yourself, basically, that you wish you knew 10 years ago? It doesn't have to be specifically about, it could be about anything really. What's something that you wish that you don't know that you wish you knew 10 years ago?
Like, just be you. Like, just be you, do what you want to do what you love to do. You don't need to put on this persona to like look like everyone else.
Yeah.
I think it's super, super, and I'm sure like people hear this all the time, and it's like the cliche, like you said before, but it's so honest and so real. Because for me, I am authentically and like unapologetically myself in everything I do, and the abundance of love and everything and happiness and like success I'm getting in return is like overwhelmingly great. Not it's like overwhelmingly great. So for me, it's like just I wish I would have done that when I was younger. Like even after high school and college, like going in through these programs that I really didn't want to, but I was just going with the flow of friends and all of that stuff.
Yeah. Like you said, kind of staying in that quote unquote square of like, what's you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And then in that square, always finding like what I liked about it. And like I said, for university, it was like case comp and like associations, because I was the people person. I was like associations. It was planning events. It was getting to know different people. It was fun for me. Case competition, like the best experience university has taught me is like confidence. So I found myself like kind of putting school back a bit and looking at these cool stuff that I was able to do while I was there for the 3 years.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think that's important. I mean, you found something fun to do or that you like to do within something that you weren't too crazy about. And I'm sure that helped you get to the end, right? I mean, it helped keep you motivated to finish. So that's cool. Do you feel like
definitely.
do you think the case competitions helped you in your business? Like helped maybe like I mean, I never did a case competition, but I know a lot of students that did, and they say like it's a great learning experience. Do you feel like those prepared you at all for anything?
Yeah. If anything, case comp prepared me for everything.
Really?
Besides, like school, nothing compared to what case comp did. I tell all of my like girls who are applying into JMSB, the first thing I tell them is go see John. The second thing I tell them is apply for case comp. So the thing with case comp for me was like I just learned how to present myself. I learned how to speak. I learned how to have this thought process that I didn't know my brain had, like just solving these problems under pressure, having this different thought process about a business and whatnot. So that was really, really cool. And along the way, I got to meet so many people that now I'm still in contact with that have the coolest jobs ever. And hopefully like down the line, I'll be able to see them grow, like I said before, with vendors and clients. But it's also come back to my business. Like I find like I talk to certain clients, or when it comes to students that now are like my clients, so it all kind of worked with me eventually. But case comp, just to sum it up, case comp did teach me a lot about my business acumen, business ethics, especially business ethics, and mostly like my confidence, I would say, because you had to present in front of people, right? So that's not you're not really presenting at JMSB when you have like, you don't have orals, it's not high school anymore. So that was something that I was able to push myself. And now meeting clients, going to clients meetings, when you're presenting in front of these huge CEOs, CFOs of companies, now going to a client meeting of, I don't know, you're talking to a creative director of a company. Yes, they're pretty cool, pretty important, but you don't have that shy or insecurity anymore, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, because you developed your confidence at those case competitions.
Yeah. Teamwork too. Oh my God, teamwork. That's another subject. Teamwork was insane.
A lot of good and a lot of bad in that.
It wasn't teamwork like the projects we have in class. It was a different type of teamwork, was very relatable to real life. So
that's huge. I mean, I think I'm sure you learned a lot more from case competitions than you did writing an exam.
I don't remember. I would leave exams and be like, I don't know what the hell I just did. Like, I don't remember. Or the week after, I wouldn't remember what my material was on.
But
like,
the things you learned
in all honesty, I'm sure there's a lot of people that could say the same thing, or they don't talk about it, or they'll just like cram as much information in their head, which is not healthy, which I realized was not healthy for me to study, and then just forget everything, that's not school. That's not how you're supposed to be learning.
Flush it out the day after the exam, for sure. I think the majority of students, I don't want to say majority, but I definitely know a lot of students who are in that boat, for sure. And I feel like kind of it sounds like you walked out of that exam and didn't remember a single thing, but that a lot of what you learned during case competitions, you are never going to forget, right? Like
No.
these skills and
Problem solving skills that I didn't know I had.
yeah,
Insane.
yeah,
Insane. My thought process being a little bit more optimistic, a little bit more positive, especially when you're in teamwork.
yeah,
Learning how to work as a team, learning how to, like, let's say if there's a leader in the team, learning how to not respect
yeah,
the leader, but I want to say learn how to, you know, work together and be like more of a, sometimes you're a leader, sometimes you're not a leader. So learning
right.
that too was a big learning curve.
So I think I can say with confidence that you would recommend case competitions to anyone, right? I mean,
Yeah,
who's
yeah, but I
interested.
don't want to sound like those cheesy people who do case comp and it's like no, I'm being really serious and honest. Yeah, I would.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah,
think,
no,
and I only did 3 competitions. I didn't do many compared to people I know who have done 10, 15 and have done all
wow,
of their 3 years. And it doesn't take, you don't need to do 10 or 15. You like, I did 3. My first one was my most memorial, like the one that I remember the most. And the one that I learned from the most. So it doesn't take much. You could do 1, but I definitely highly recommend if you're in university and you're listening to this, put yourself out there, throw yourself in something that makes you feel uncomfortable and go into case comp.
yeah, that's great. I think that's great advice. I'm gonna definitely point some students to this part of this chat because I think some people need to hear it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I mean,
Especially, sorry, John, especially if like they're not happy with their program
yeah,
or
yeah,
they're not sure. It's something that could maybe distract them and motivate them to continue. Like I use that as my distraction as my outlet. So especially, and they could discover parts of themselves that they didn't know they had or they didn't know that they were into. Like maybe when doing the case comp, they'll be like, oh wow, I love the marketing case comp. Maybe I should do a minor in marketing since I'm almost done school, which could be like maybe a saving grace for some students who are still at school. Because for me, I loved my university years, regardless if towards the end I hated my classes and stuff, but I still loved the 3 years, the tutoring, the meeting with friends, the association. So it could help someone.
yeah, for sure. I think it's important for students to enjoy their time. Like it's good to, everything we say it's important to study and do well, but I also think it's important to enjoy your time at university because it's kind of like your last, usually anyways, your last step before you're out there, in the wild.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, in the wild, for real, the adult life, and like the university offers you so many opportunities. Like even like going abroad, that's something that like now I look back, I'm like, why didn't I do that?
same.
You know,
Yeah, I feel that.
like like why didn't I do that? Like the university offered so many things, or when you see on billboards like come meet someone who has experience, and you're like, oh, I'm not gonna go to these meetings, or you have people giving out flyers, but like go to them because they're actually pretty interesting, and the people behind that are taking their time to come to these things and talk to students. So clearly there's some story behind them, but yeah, take advantage of all of the resources too, I guess university has.
For
I
sure.
would say, because you don't have that after when you're done school. Like there's no one you can book a meeting with for consultation. Like the
Yeah,
only reason you're booking is like your therapist or something afterwards.
I think we pretty much covered all the points that I really thought you could provide some nice and unique insight on. I mean, I definitely appreciate you doing this and you taking this kind of journey with me since this was my first one. I think it was cool to just have this chat. I don't think we've ever caught up like this. I mean, I've seen you in passing the last few years with the
Yeah,
balloons, but it was nice to see you and hopefully, if this podcast
takes
gets off the
off,
ground
rocket ship. Yeah,
and we can have you back a year, 2 years from now and see all the cool things that you're doing. I'm definitely going to
I'm
see you.
excited.
Actually, I'm probably going to have Carla contact you pretty soon for a 6-month birthday coming up. But
6 months, and there's also, don't forget, maybe even before that, first tooth. Hey,
that's right. The first
hey,
two.
you guys were my first tooth party ever, and ever since then, I've been having some first tooth party,
You've
which is
done more
pretty
than one
funny.
after?
Yeah, after that one,
That's
which
cool.
I find is so funny. When Carla sent me that, I was like, sure, let's go. Any reason to celebrate life, let's pop the champagne. But yeah, it was super funny.
Yeah.
I remember when that was my first one, but after that, anything, I find any reason to celebrate, which is great because again, in my business, you're surrounded by people who are always excited to celebrate. So
Yeah.
very positive aura around me.
That's the thing. Your business is cool because, I mean, every client is celebrating something. I would assume.
Yeah. Fun. It's fun. Besides the stress of some clients, like, they're stressed about their own party. But for me, it's like I'm delivering balloons. Like when you see me, it's like, oh my God, she's here. It's always happy.
Yeah.
In your case, it's a little bit different. Students are always stressed.
Yeah, it's a bit different.
Again, like even when I talk, let's say like my accountant, like even his, like it's a different aura. There's, depending your field, so you have to know how to block that energy. But yeah, I'm super grateful that I'm around good and positive energy most of the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, you give off a good energy too, so I'm sure that you fit well with the business. I think that's probably why your business is doing so well. You're kind of the right fit for it, for sure. So I mean,
agreed.
Congratulations on
Thank
getting
you.
to where you're at now. It's crazy. I remember you just telling me about the business like in class, and it was just like an idea, and now you're killing it. So
yeah, thanks.
Congrats. I know that 5 years from now you'll have everything that you're aiming for and probably more. So I'm excited for that. And
I'm excited too.
That's about it. I guess we'll
Awesome.
wrap it up, and we'll be in contact really soon about these events.
Yeah, I'm excited. Let me know. Carla has my number, I think. So you just give me a call, and then I can't wait to let me know when the podcast. Like I'm excited for all of this too. Can't wait to hear you.
Yeah. So I mean, after this, I mean, we'll take some time to edit it, to look over it. I'll probably send you it before it hits the internet, and then we'll post it. It'll be fun.
Yeah, good stuff. Enjoy and good. Also, like great things on the social media. See you on TikTok, making your educational videos. Which, by the way, I find educational videos are like the number one thing you can do right now, especially for like
TikTok's hard.
But TikTok's really hard, but like continue because I think consistency is key. Like as soon as you stop, but educational videos, like run for it, especially that you have the material to do that. Yeah. Like your video you posted yesterday or 2 days ago about like failing a class.
Yeah.
Like the steps to take. Like I didn't know that before. It's like I'll take it I'll take it in next year. It's like no, it's the best you take it next semester because you're fresh up. Yeah. So continue doing those because those are really cool.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I'm doing it.
Yeah. It's a full-time job, social media. It's underestimated, I find.
100%, for sure.
All right.
Okie doke.
Have a great rest of your day. Thank
You too.
you. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.